I'm Jason Buyaki with Gale Force 9, and I'm here to show off the new Star Trek Ascendancy. So this game is about taking your civilization and being the most ascendant, dominant culture within the Star Trek universe. This game focuses in on the three main factions, Federation, Klingons, and the Romulans. And we've got some expansions that will be available shortly that will actually add more players to the game. But this is a game of exploration, economy building, technology advancement, conquering your enemies, and there's two different ways to win the game. One is to be the most ascendant culture, and you want to gain 5 ascendancy markers. Those are once you get 5 of those, then you win the game. Or you can win by a military domination by taking the 2 planets of your opponents. So then you're going to spend, during your turn, you have the ability to spend your command markers to move your models across the universe, exploring new systems, and coming across the hazards that are on those systems. So for example, we can spend a command marker to send one of our ships to warp, and each warp token allows our ship to move 1 sector, or one system. The more warp tokens you have, the more systems you can move from the original destination point. Well, we've simply sent him out, and we want to see what he can explore, so we're going to order him to come out of warp, and we're going to find a new system that we're going to explore. We roll our space lanes dice. That's these blue markers that connect their different systems, and we simply place these down. Now, what's neat about this game is that any of these locations can really be moved around and positioned. So during the course of the game, you're jockeying these around and trying to get the best combination possible. So we've explored Janus 4. Now this is a neat piece because this it's a planet, but it's got a hazard. So I've got to roll less than the number shown for my ship to survive all the cosmic devastation around this planet. Black holes might have a cosmic hazard of 3 or more. So I would want to roll a 1 or 2. Black holes are simply one of those bad things you don't want to mess around with. So as we go and explore and we take control of planets, we're placing our nodes down on there. We're building our nodes, and then we're using that to gain resources so that we can buy more ships, advance in our culture. One of the things that's neat about this game is that all starships are going to fight on a 5 or more. But once you start, you can advance your weapons ability by spending some of the research that you're earning, allowing you to increase better your hit rolls from 5s all the way down to 1s or better, and you can increase your ship quality, your shield quality on your ships. And that kind of represents the technological achievements of all the different nations. So these are our advancement cards. Basically, they're like a technology deck, and they give you extra abilities that you don't start with in the game, but as you research into some of those technologies, they give you the ability to have additional dice when you fight, modify dice scores, allow you to add additional movement to your warp speed. Generally, starting the game, when you first start the game, you're at warp speed 1. But as you gain some of these cards, you gain this little warp marker here. The more of those you have, when you add them up, they increase your speed. So the more of those that you gain, you'll be able to really move across the board with just a single command count. So there's 2 ways to move in the game. One is by warp, which you're simply moving from system to system, or you can move by impulse speed. Impulse speed is a movement of 2. And you can simply slowly plod along, but you can set like little defensive zones for opponents to come into that they've got to stop and fight some of your ships in those defensive zones. Additionally, when you explore planets, you don't necessarily have to go charging in like what I did at the beginning of the game with using warp speed. You can go slower and do impulse, and then decide if you really want to enter that system or not. Impulse is a little bit safer movement, but it's certainly a lot slower. So to really get where you're going, jam the warp in and go. Ascendancy markers, you need 5 to win the game. The ascendancy markers are acquired by you gain culture each production round, and culture are these markers, and 5 of these markers become one of your ascendancy markers. but you're also going to spend your culture markers to convert your ships into colonies as you expand across the universe. So there's a balance of not spending too much of your culture, because you need your culture to win the game, but you are going to spend some along the way because you've got to build your culture nodes and so forth, because there's some costs that are inherent with creating your culture nodes, and culture nodes are essentially your triumph of your civilization. So each expansion is going to be a specific race, and we have 2 already ready to go. They'll be out shortly. We have it is Ferengi and the Cardassians. Each one is their own box, and you simply just purchase it and you can add it to the game. And each one race that you add adds another player to the game. This is an expandable game that there's no upper limit to the number of players that can play. We just simply say each player needs to have a race. And so we see, our vision is that this can be quite expandable, and we imagine that people will get quite excited about it and go off into the tangents of the Star Trek universe and create some of their own, some of the rare races that have been spotted throughout. But we're certainly going to concentrate on some of the most popular races that we've seen, some of the ones that are always ongoing and visible.